And so we have this story that's been going around from the Gray Zone. This is written by Kit Klarenberg and Max Blumenthal. Now, you can absolutely argue these individuals have their bias. I believe that they have a leftist bias. But this is an interesting story. Leaked files expose Syria PsyOps veteran astroturfing bread tube star to counter COVID restriction critics. That is a mouthful of a headline. Now, I don't know if this is true. I'm not familiar with the Gray Zone. Take it all with a grain of salt. But they write, by covertly recruiting popular YouTube influencer Abigail Thorne to counter growing opposition to UK government COVID restrictions, PsyOps pros are bringing home the tactics they honed in the Syrian dirty war. Leaked documents have revealed a state-sponsored influence operation designed to undermine critics of the British government's coronavirus policies by astroturfing a prominent founder of the BreadTube clique of anti-fascist YouTube influencers. The project aims to conduct psychological profiling on British citizens dissenting against policies such as mandatory vaccination and lockdowns, then leverage the data to establish a YouTube channel that portrays these critics as dangerous super spreaders of disinformation. Interesting. I was accused of spreading election disinformation and conspiracies because one time I retweeted somebody on Twitter and they happened to have been wrong. I don't know about the veracity of these claims, but this is us looking through, assuming it's all true, a keyhole into what is probably very, very prominent. Yeah, government agencies, intelligence operations, PsyOps, it's all real. They're all working on this stuff.
I was just going to say that. PsyOps are real. The CIA has knowingly infiltrated Hollywood, the corporate media, politics, of course, admittedly. So why wouldn't you think they would not be infiltrating the online space? Of course they're doing this. And there's this famous journalist, Udo Ufketi. He's a German journalist who literally came out and whistleblowed. He was one of the most prominent, most important journalists in all of Germany. And he said, the CIA came to me. They wrote articles in my name, and they told me just to hit publish, and I did many times. So the CIA
what was this guy's name?
Udo, E-U-D-O.
E-U-D-O?
Udo, that's his first name. Ulfketi, U-L-F-K-O-T-T-E. Came out and said, hey, I was told by intelligence agencies to regurgitate these talking points, and I did. And
so we got it. We got his Wikipedia page pulled up.
So if they're doing this with corporate media, you think they're not doing this with social media? Obviously they are, because that's how they influence a lot of their policies that they want to institute.
Luke, Wikipedia says he was a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
So that means everything he's ever claimed is clearly false.
Of course, Wikipedia is always true no matter what.
He maintained, this according to Wikipedia has this, he maintained that journalists, including himself and leading newspapers, published material that had been fed to them or bought by the CIA and other Western intelligence and propaganda agencies. He was an assistant editor at the German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, pronouncing that wrong, for several years until 2003. Between 1997 and his death, he authored a dozen books, including a number with populist themes. Perhaps. I'll tell you this. I don't know this guy. I don't need to trust this guy. If you think intelligence agencies aren't seeding stories, you're the conspiracy theorist. I'm sorry. You'd have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe none of that is going on. Russia does it. China does it. Even small countries do it. Small countries that we don't think would be an issue for us. They all engage in these kind of psychological operations and manipulations. And we get reports on it. Here's the funny thing. We get stories where it's like, the CIA said Iran is engaging in manipulation campaigns. Yes. Why wouldn't the CIA be doing the exact same thing? Why wouldn't any other intelligence agency be doing the exact same thing?
In the 1970s, there was congressional hearings with members of the CIA admitting that they have agents within all the major top news organizations. A lot of people attribute this incorrectly to Operation Mockingbird, but that's a separate thing. That's a separate issue. There was congressional hearings. You could watch the videos of CIA officials saying that they have infiltrated the top echelons of the corporate media, and they are using, of course, that power of the corporate media in order to spread their stories, or AKA disinformation.